Hello everyone and welcome to an episode of exploring one of the latest AI large language model which caused a great impact on the tech market. Nvidia market cap cutting down by billions, and this had raised a question among investors like, are they investing right? Here we are exploring into the DeepSeek, its technical report, how to use, and some comparison between models. There are two latest DeepSeek models which are in direct competition with OpenAI models, which is one of the industry benchmark. So let's go ahead and explore this. Around China with the parent company as Highflyer. I'm not going into detail of that, rather we are directly jumping into the technical report of the models. So DeepSeek has released two models which are DeepSeek V3 and DeepSeek R1, with V3 being a normal LLM with a high quality as comparable to GPT-4o, and DeepSeek R1 being a reasoning model which is head to head with OpenAI open reasoning models. DeepSeek is a fully open source model and we are exploring some technical aspect of this model. As you can see, I have highlighted some of the points over here. The first one being the type of model. It is a mixture of experts model. The difference in R1 model to that of a normal model is that the reasoning models think and answer. Think and answer, when I say, it is more about chain of thoughts and it breaks down a problem before answering it. So it actually takes more time to process, but the results are usually much superior than that of a base model. So that is how the reasoning model works. Now let's look at the aspect what exactly caused this big impact on this tech market with the DeepSeek model. You can see that the model is a mixture of expert model, which means that rather than having all the 671 billion parameters mentioned getting activated at a time, only a certain amount of parameters gets activated for each token, which means that there is a big compute save over there. So that is the mixture of experts part, and it has specified that it is being trained on 14.8 trillion diverse high quality token. So that is around, that's a very big number, and that would be at least nearly the whole corpus around the internet. And the next part they have done is like most of the models are trained on FP32 precision, and it has cut down to FP8. They have used a mixed precision strategy to train the model, which they have reduced the compute there as well in a very big manner, which means that lesser time and reduced GPU memory usage. That is like a big compute cost saving over there. So let's go to the next page, which is the primary factor that has caused this huge wave in the tech market. They only took around 5.6 million in order to train the whole model. Rest of these models like OpenAI might have taken 10 or 100 times this cost in order to get to that level of quality, and they have spent around 2,788,000 GPU hours. For example, if I have like one GPU, for one day I have 24 GPU hours. For 10 days I will be for 10 GPUs I will be having 240 hours per day. So that is how the GPU hours are calculated. Then DeepSeek V3 on each trillion token requires only 180,000 H800 GPU hours. That would be around 3.7 days for them, because they have like 2048 H100 GPU clusters. So all of this they were able to train things fast and also at a very cheap cost compared to any other proprietary models. So if someone can develop such a high quality model with such a low rate, why would these investors have to invest in big companies like OpenAI for billions? They would rather put up some small group of people with very high intelligence like these people in DeepSeek and create something very similar to this. So that was one of the major concerns on the tech investor side. So yes, let's move on to the next part of the technical paper, and that would be, so there is like architecture and everything towards that. If you have time, you can go ahead and read the whole paper. It is very interesting. And let's go to the next point, which is the architecture. As usual, it is a transformer based network, and most of the models are that really. Then they have a context window of 128,000 tokens. They had a progressively expanding context window from 4K to 32K and 128K. When I say about 128K, it can actually process around 80 to 100 pages of a book with average letter counts or the word counts. So that is a very big context window. We can go ahead and chat for a very long time. This is the technical report of Deepseek R1, and you can see over here I have only highlighted 1 to 2 points, which is the distillation of model. The model distillation is about teaching a model using a much better model. Here R1 is used to teach smaller models like Quen, Llama models, and they have reached a very good quality in output. When I say the output is used, it may not be exactly the text output, it could be the logits output. So here is the comparison chart for DeepSeek V3, and it is nearly similar or beating OpenAI 4 models. And you can go ahead, have a look at this GitHub repository, which has all the scores and how to run the license, etc. And this is the DeepSeek Hugging Face repository. They have their R1 models, V3 models, and all of their old models, and it has reached a very good download state as well as of now, 1.25 and 2.15 million. This is the UI where you can use DeepSeek for free from the web. You have the DeepSeek DeepThink, which is the DeepSeek R1 model. If you do not check on that, the DeepSeek will be running on V3 model. So that is the DeepSeek UI, but I think the traffic is pretty much high right now. And this page is the documentation for DeepSeek API. You can use the OpenAI compatible server, which means that in Python, you can just install the OpenAI package, change the API and the API keys, and it will act as your DeepSeek API module. So you have DeepSeek Reasoner and DeepSeek Chat, which is a V3 and the R1 models, and also you have it in the Grok. For those who don't know Grok is the platform, one of the platform. There is another one called as Cerebrus. They infer very fast. Their token count is like excellent. You can see it right now. So this is the Distill R1 Distill model, R1 Llama 70p, and that is a thinking which is going on. And I asked a question like the pi question, and we get the results after the thinking, but it is very fast here. It is because of the Grok. The Grok can actually host the V3 model, and it will become super fast because the API right now is kind of slow. So even you will get an API access for the Grok, and as of now it is free. It also has these other models like Whisper and smaller models of Llama like 8B and Llama 3.1. Then now there is also Quen 32B coder models as well. So here is the documentation. You'll get a free API key as of now. You can go ahead and use it. There are daily rate limits, and finally here we comes to Ollama, where all of these distill models like 1.5B, 7B, and most of them have different architectures and different licenses. Make sure to read about the license before using it in any of the production environment. You have Quen 2 license, Llama license, then the MIT license for the main 671B model. So, and go ahead with the benchmark, have a look at it, select the model accordingly. Yes, so that's it on this side. Now I'm going to jump into few example and comparison between the models. On the left hand side, we have the DeepSeek API. I have DeepSeek Reasoner, which is R1 model, and below that there is DeepSeek Chat, which is the V3 model. On the center portion, I am having O1 Mini, and below that I have GPT-4o. So the center one is dedicated for the OpenAI models, and on the right side I have a Grok one where I'm using this Distill Llama 70B model. Now I'm going to ask the same question to all of them. 9.11 and 9.8, which is greater? Obviously 9.8 is greater, so the DeepSeek Reasoner things go with the thinking and finally comes out with the answer of 9.8. So that is DeepSeek Reasoner, and surprisingly DeepSeek Chat as well went through a little bit of thinking, even though it doesn't exactly think, directly goes out with the answer and came up with 9.8. And the O1 Mini also performed a very similar result with thinking going and saying 9.8 is greater than 9.11, but 4.0 on the other hand directly predicted that 9.11 is greater, which is wrong. And we go to the right side and you can see the distill model. It's also thinking a lot and finally coming up with the answer on the box session, which is 9.8. So this was one simple experiment. Now I'm going to ask this model to create a clone for Splitwise, which is one of the app for calculating the amount between friends or families, etc. So I have asked it to build a clone of Splitwise, giving some advices and asking every model to create one file which has all the HTML, CSS and JS within that. Okay, so I am running all of these models together. So the Deepseek actually takes some pretty much time to run. It takes around 2 minutes plus, maybe because of the traffic. Like I mentioned, if it is getting hosted in Grok, it might be super fast. So yeah, I had it hard coded. Okay. So yes, the results are generated. DeepSeek took around 2 minutes 10 seconds and 2 minutes 2 seconds for creating the answers with reasoner and chat model. And Openai took it in like few 20 seconds and 30 seconds. And Grok is obviously super fast and it only took around under 10 seconds. In 8 seconds, it created the whole thing. So I'm going to put these things in individual files and get it hosted and showing you the result and comparing between each other. So for the first time, Splitwise, this is from the DeepSeek reasoner model, but for some reason it is not exactly working. So this is from DeepSeek V3, but there are some UI troubles, but we can add the names, we can give the description, we can add the amount and split it equally. 1200 comes up. That's great. I'm adding a third person, adding the next description, another amount. Okay, even I'm splitting on shares, it is actually going with equally splitting and the whole amount is being split between all the three people, even though I added the third person towards the end. This is from Grok distill model Llama 70B. Here also the same process I am following through. And the equal one works like a charm, no issues. Okay, so there is like share for first person, share for second person. There are some calculation issues because I gave 500 but it is saying that it doesn't add up to 100. But the results are pretty good output. The calculations are getting done properly. Now we are going into the OpenAI forum model. So the names, description, amount, adding a third person. It's so okay, that got us something wrong because it got split between three people with the same amount. It was just 1500, but the whole sum was over 2000. Now the OpenAI the forum model made some mistake over there. Let's switch to the O1 model. Adding the people. This UI is much better than most of the others. Shopping, adding the splits. Yeah, so this is much better because it states the plus and minus amount, but it doesn't add who is the payer, who paid. Rather, it always considers that the first person is the one paying. The bills are right on point. Who owes what, how much, and everything, but it doesn't ask who exactly was the payer. Every time it considers to be the first person. So I added a fourth person. I don't have an option to delete, so I just went ahead and added a fourth person. Split of the shares. Yes, the calculation is absolutely fine and much better understanding with the red and the green showing. So what I'm going to do right now is, since the R1 is not working, I'm not going to ask it to correct it and give, rather I'm just going to rerun the prompt and see what it gives the next time. Okay, so This time I'm going to run it in the UI and I'm going to directly paste it into the HTML file. Okay, this is the new UI for the Deepseek regional model. I'm giving the name and it has a good UI as well. Also, the person is added on the right side. They could have added on the left side. Two people that they have the pair to select, and we can also select between how many people we need to split this expense. So I'm adding a third person amount. Okay, when I select each person, the share tabs open, and this is great, and it has actually covered all the logic. Even though I have not specified that pair should be mentioned, the Deepseek R1 model has went ahead and thought about it and implemented it. This is more like a complete set, and only some UI changes. Maybe those participants could have been moved to left. Only that kind of editing could have been done. So this is fantastic. The DeepSeek model has regional model performed very well compared to the other models, and obviously it is the winner as well. So these are the UIs. I'll just show you the thought process here. I gave the exact same prompt. It took around 2 to 3 minutes and went through a big chain of thought. Then only it started creating the code. So I pasted this code and hosted it there. So from my perspective, DeepSeek R1 is very good in this manner, and really very competitive to other models, and rather performing much better than other model. I used OpenAI O1 mini and not exactly OpenAI AI O1 model, so it may not be a direct comparison with the reasoning model. And now we have O3 mini high as well. So in the first look, DeepSeek R1 is pretty cool, and it's a game changer. Okay, so that's it for the moment. I'm winding up this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.